Hey, everybody, welcome to Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast. It's podcast number 8.
8.
And it's 108.
About that.
We're here with my favorite man in the minibike world. We named him aptly the authentic, genuine celebrity of the minibike hobby. It's Evil Ed.
How's it going, guys?
But we also have with us, straight out of Whittier, like I thought I had a passion about mini bikes and collecting. Man, I could just go wait in the truck. Because the man I have with me here is William Perea, a.k.a. Taco Bill. This guy is not only an extraordinary builder and car enthusiast, but he's got a collection of Taco mini bikes unlike anyone. I was trying to do some half-ass math. You know, I got through community college, so my math is pretty basic, right? I figured just with the tacos alone, there's over 34, 36 frames lurking in your garage. So,
yes, there is.
Welcome to the show, and thanks for coming up. I know you weren't feeling too good. You feeling a little bit better now?
Feeling okay, a little bit better. Maybe it's the heat. I don't know. It's pretty hot.
Well, you're going to have a long summer then if it's the heat, right? Ed, when I saw you rolling down, you looked like you had it with the heat today.
Oh, yeah. It was freaking hot.
What were you doing? You said you were working on Dino's car or something?
No, well, he was working on it. I was watching him while I was working.
What's up with your air conditioner?
Nah, it's broken in the truck.
Oh, in the truck. Okay. What do you do at the house? Do you have air conditioning in the house? You've got the fans blowing.
In that old house.
Well, who knows, right?
I got like 10 fans going.
So you're sweating
Doors open.
So you're sweating it out, literally.
Yeah.
Well, you can see what we've done here. We've got the AC on. It says 64.
That one's working pretty good, though, I think.
Good. Well, we do what we can. And Bill, with that said, thanks again. Especially you weren't feeling that good. Thanks for rolling up.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure. You know, we're going to get right into the tacos, which is obviously that name and that bike. Mm-hmm. It's synonymous with what we do here in this mini bike world. One of the most popular brands out there, and I just went out, tried to do some homework, and was looking at all the different years and all the different makes and models. Yes. And not only is it awesome in terms of its historical nature, but the different bikes. Mm-hmm. And you have, I understand, with the latest edition, you've just completed having every taco. Tell us about your collection, would you please? I can't wait to get to it.
It goes from 63 to 1970.
Okay.
And I got every year of every model that they made.
So, everyone.
Everyone.
And how many are there accurately in total?
34.
34.
Yeah. 16 different models.
It's crazy.
Right? How many tacos do you have? How many have you had, do you think, in your time, Ed?
One.
Because you're a Bonanza guy, right? Yeah.
One taco, and then I sold it.
What model was it?
A 22.
Do you know what year? Because what year were those taco 22s available?
They first came out in 64. It was called the Burrito.
67 or 8.
Okay. So did I own a taco? No. Mine was the Frioli Raw Tone. That was, yeah. So, I did have, I correct myself, we had that one Frioli that we built for CRC.
Oh, that's
that was a modern day version. It wasn't one of the older ones. So I guess the first question would be, what was it that triggered your zeal, not only about the taco, but then, Bill, that day that you decided you're going to get every one of these things? Tell us a little bit about that.
I was thinking about that today. How did it start? I don't know. I've had mini bikes since 67. But maybe collect all of them? I don't know. It just kind of happened.
What about the first one? The first taco that started the collection and that interest. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I still have that bike.
Okay. So how did you acquire that one?
Probably the swap meet or something. I don't remember, but I got one. Then I got another one. I've always grew up with them, and it just kind of snowballed.
Then did it get to a point like one day you had a dozen of them, or was
yeah. Then I was buying them, selling them, restoring them for people. Then I found out, hey, they're not getting out. There's not that many out there anymore. So I better save my stuff, and then just started accumulating parts after that. Sometimes you got to buy a whole bike just to get a front fork or get the back shocks. So then you accumulate all this stuff. I go, hey, why not just get one of each? But then the more I got into it, I didn't know that there was this model, there was that model, and it just kept going and going and going.
Okay, so you're a young guy, you're a car lover, you're a bike lover, because you're into all kinds of things. I love your posts.
Oh, thank you.
Getting to see all the vehicles, and I know you're an early Ford lover.
Yes.
It seems like. Mm-hmm. And as I had a chance to meet you, it was through Ed, and you helped us thank you again. In fact, we have a little something for your help there.
Oh, thank you very much.
Because I know it was a bit of a surprise, but you were a big help with the judging last year.
Wasn't it hot that day too?
It was hot. Yeah.
Well, I think, let's face it, from now until like October,
yeah.
it's gonna. We signed up for it being hot. So you're a Southern California guy.
Yeah, born and raised here.
Okay,
Yeah.
whereabouts?
El Sereno,
Okay.
Alhambra area.
So you're going to Pomona, you're going to Long Beach, you're out at all the events, and you're kind of in the swap meet, because it's not like there was Craigslist and eBay back then, right?
No, there wasn't that much.
No, that's when if you wanted something, you had to read the newspaper,
Yeah.
call the person up, go look at it in person. No one could send you pictures or text you or this like now. You had to actually do it the hard way.
You know what? I totally overlooked that. You are so damn right. I go back to the times when I was bopping around without a car phone or a cell phone, or there was no FedEx. Remember those days?
Yeah.
And then there was no computer, so everything was on that typewriter. And then you put a friggin' stamp on there, and then you waited. And if you missed the early drop off, and then it took 8 days, and then you maybe heard from somebody too. So okay. So knowing that you had a little bit of that to deal with, you're hustling for these tacos.
Oh yeah.
Now you're not married at the time. You're
No.
you're about to get married when all this stuff is going on.
Yeah, I was married.
Okay.
Yeah, I was married.
And this was your hobby.
Yeah.
Okay. So you now got a dozen of these tacos. You're starting to work on them. People are coming to you, asking questions maybe.
Yes.
I'm trying to get to that place when you decided that you were really going to try to essentially covet that whole group of tacos ever made.
I think people were getting me pissed off.
How?
Calling themselves like taco this and taco that, and
Wait, getting pissed off because you had already established in your
myself.
mind.
Yeah, I've been in Taco Bell for over 20 years, and I figured, you know what? I'm just gonna go for it and just get every model and just show them, hey, I am Taco Bell, nobody else.
When I guess the big question I really had in addition to finding out why you had a passion for these tacos is obviously the nickname. Who dawned you with the Taco Bill? Was it just that obvious to everyone?
I did that myself.
So you were one of the first guys that accurately gave himself his own nickname.
Yes.
That's supposed to be impossible, Ed.
Not really.
Yeah, well, I mean, usually nicknames are given to you by someone.
Yeah.
And then when you coin your own, people typically give you shit.
Make sure that if you're buying something from you weren't buying from regular Bill, you were buying from Taco Bill.
So I Googled Taco Bill.
And
you and about 25 million Mexican restaurants.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Pop up. But there you stand, and you through owning it, you are the taco guy. I remember Greg Gill from BCII. Those were the guys who were at the Minibike show, Joe's Minibike Reunion this October 1st. They were at the Minibike show coordinating some possible television stuff, and one of the things that they wanted to do as a part of this I don't know what they call them, not pilots, but one of these promo videos was to get to your collection.
Oh yeah.
So the collection not only was building its reputation back in the day, but fast forward to 2015, and all these guys in this scene are aware of you.
Yeah.
So you definitely did the job there.
I think I can't put my name on myself. Back when I used to show the bikes, back in the early 90s, we used to go to the Mooneyes Hot Rod Reunion and stuff, and we had a little display there with our bikes, and it just kind of evolved from there.
What kind of reception did you get when you rolled up with the mini bike?
I used to have a bike like that. I had a bike like that. See, I still got the scarf when the chain came off and hit me. Everybody has a story.
Oh,
so many stories.
So you had to become an expert at the tacos just through the collecting and the working on them. What model did you find yourself having a preference for a particular taco? Was there one that, for whatever reason, you really had an affinity towards?
I think it was the F85 Matterhorn.
That's what I was going to say.
That bike
was the
so
bigger
cool.
bike, right?
Yeah, with the Zundap 50cc engine in it.
Yeah, very limited run, from what I understand.
Yeah, not very many of those. Yeah.
Did you enjoy actually riding a working bike most of these tacos, or how many of them that you have in the collection were you riding at the time? Many of them, or
a couple of them, 2 or 3 of them.
Okay.
But it takes so much time to keep them going. You can't keep them all going. The diaphragms go bad and the gas goes bad and stuff. So I just kind of got them set up on display.
Yeah, for those of you who have not had the chance to check out the collection that Bill has, it's available on YouTube. You just Google Taco Bill's
Minibike Garage.
Minibike Garage, yeah. It's also
On
on
Facebook.
Facebook as well. And I was just amazed. And they're very short videos, like 25-second videos where you just
Sneak
get
peeks.
little
teasers,
teas, right?
They're teasers.
Yeah, and a lot of other cool stuff in that garage. So,
Yeah.
you know, the cars. But before we get into that stuff, so when you were in the midst of collecting all these bikes, tell us about some of those stories. About some of the buys, some of the picks. Were any of them particularly easy? Like, did you get any free ones, or were any of them particularly hard, where you had to pay a lot of money to get your hands on one?
Some cost some money, you know.
What was one of the more tougher models that you had to kind of reach deep into that pocket for? Was there
Probably the F85.
And how did you find that bike?
That's the priciest bike I've ever bought.
Do you want to give us a little idea what something like that may have cost, and at the time?
I bought it for $2,500.
When was that? Was that recently?
Yeah, about 2 years ago, and I had to drive up to Sacramento for it.
How did you find it?
I forgot.
Like
I
a
don't-
friend
I
of
don't
a friend,
remember.
usually? You know,
Probably,
you
yeah.
get a lot of that?
I get a lot of phone calls from people. Hey, I got this bike. We'll check it out. I go, send me a picture, and then, you know, go from there.
How many times has that happened where you have, because people's notoriety of you being the taco guy, I would assume that anytime anybody came across what they thought was a rare taco, they're probably calling you, hey, Bill, I'm
Yeah.
over here in Diamond Bar. How often was that happening? And
That
how did
happens quite a few times, you know. But sometimes they just label a mini bike as a taco.
Sure.
It could be a Bonanza or a Cat, but they say hey, it's a taco mini
Yeah,
bike.
look
but
at Craigslist.
Yeah.
Taco mini bike. That's no taco.
it's some Sears thing, you know, and somebody boogered it up, you know. But
yeah, like Kleenex.
yeah, so it's like a generic, almost like a mini bike.
And then you certainly had to also be on the look, whether it was current day Craigslist or eBay listings. And when you see some of these tacos, you know the good ones and the bad ones right away, don't you?
Yes, yes.
How do you know? I know it's your experience, but what is it about these ads? What is it about these prices that automatically either eliminates them from your consideration, or you know you got to jump on it? Like, what would get your attention if you're going through like Craigslist and you see a bunch of quote unquote taco mini bikes? How do you evaluate it? Just the pictures?
Just by the picture, and I can just kind of tell. Okay, this is this and this and that, and just experience. I'll tell you. You know.
And then when you talk to the guy too, right? If you get to
Yeah.
that point where you're
I see where he got it from, where he, history on it or something.
so while you were doing this, I know you had received some SoCal exposure and some write-ups, and I know that you're really a favorite in terms of what you do and the taco collection that you have on OMB. Have you ever gotten any other notoriety where the media has wanted to take a peek at the collection or maybe find out a little bit about the history?
No, I'm kind of low key.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, just
I drag him into all this stuff.
yeah, it's him. He's blaming it on Ed.
You know, as I had the chance to not only meet you but then see you, it was through my event, and you remind me of Robert De Niro, you know, especially with the when he was on Heat.
Oh yeah, the
You know,
goatee,
yeah, and your disposition. And then as I was joking about that, you know, I was looking at some of your stuff online. It's like, hey, if you're going to be a part of the mafia, like, what would your role be? And you were like the kingpin. so I guess I was on the right track. You're out there now. You know, you're going to the events and you're active online. I recently saw this. A new taco, and I think it's the 100B or NB,
What is that?
and it's priced not really a roller. It's just the frame with the suspension in the seat, and the retail on. And that's been a much talked about bike. I think that bike had been talked about a year or two ago, and I just looked at it. What do you think about a frame? You know, with the handlebars, and it looks good. It looks like it's got some front suspension and rear suspension, so it's beyond a basic frame. But
Yeah, but it just doesn't have the right shocks. Looks like the seat's too tall. I don't know.
I guess my question is, what is it that you think about some of these mini bikes that are still being built compared to those old tacos? You know,
The quality, I mean, is good.
Okay.
Whoever's making them is doing a good job.
Yeah, the welding's a lot better
Yeah,
now. And
yeah.
stuff like that.
But it's not an original one, you know.
Yeah, to me, I equate it to like right now you can go buy a real badass Challenger.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they got that Dodge Hellcat.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, shout out to Dodge for all you do for roadkill. That Hellcat, man. And then, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but they ain't done. Right? But, like, you can go get a new...
coming out with a Barracuda Plymouth.
I hope... I'm an A-body freak. I love Dusters and Demons.
I heard they might be coming out with a Barracuda.
And I'm just waiting for that. I'm waiting for the Duster to come out with, you know, all the... I think they're going to relaunch a lot of their popular lines. It's happened,
okay.
right? The Mustangs and the Camaros and the Challengers. But I guess what I'm getting at is you can go down to Pete Ellis Dodge and you could... Man, $60,000, you walk away with like 700 horsepower, a really badass Challenger. But the reality of it, just like the mini bikes, is like, yeah, I know that the new ones are out, but you know we wanted that 1970 Challenger.
Those are
Yeah,
good to
that
hop
440,
on.
With
you know?
the Kowalski car.
Yeah, exactly. So I understand that part of it. I know that just like the muscle cars, I've always equated mini bikes to muscle cars. You know, it was the same guy,
Yeah.
kind of the same era, and as they got older, they got cooler. And there was a time where they were taken for granted.
Yeah.
You remember your cars were just littered? Dusters and
yeah, they're all
Camaros
over
all over.
cheap.
Oh, yeah. And
Challengers were all over the
right?
place.
And mini bikes too.
65 Mustangs were all over the place.
And now it's changed a little bit, huh?
Volkswagens were all over the place.
Nothing
Yeah.
now.
Pintos were all over
Yeah.
the place. Vegas.
Vegas, yeah.
So,
Or the Gremlin.
The Gremlin.
so was it? Did you say it was the Matterhorn that was the tough one?
Yes.
Okay, so that was one of the tougher ones, and that one, you know, $2,500 for a mini bike. Like I don't know that I've done that. I think I better get ready to. I'm getting ready to take a delivery of Frankenstein, the bike that it was a custom bike that Jake Moe is building, and I'm really anxious to get that. In fact, I saw some pictures of it that Jake had posted where they were mocking up the exhaust. Guys at F&B are building a pipe, but that bike hopefully will be in the garage.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, maybe by the time we do our next podcast. In
He
fact,
does good work.
yeah, he does, isn't he? Yeah, he's a nice guy, too. Really, really cool guy. I think our next podcast is coming up sometime in August. We'll get to those dates, but hopefully we'll have the bike there, and then we're bringing it to Detroit for the Roadkill event.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so that'd be pretty cool. I'm in touch with some Detroit mini bikers.
Are you?
Yeah, Myron.
Oh, yeah.
Myron's going to maybe
Myron
join me out
Bailey,
there.
I think
Yeah, I
his
told him
name.
roll out, and
Yeah.
he asked if you would be there or if Charles would be there. It's like, it's more of kind of like a roadkill deal
Oh, really?
versus a mini bike thing. But
Really?
those guys are already fans of Evil Ed and Charles and everybody else. But I'm looking forward to going out there, and that's where
In
we're
case
going
you're watching, guys, hello.
Well, they always watch. They watch because of you. But those old cars will be there. And again, you're going to see all those 1,000-power Challengers, but I'm going to be looking for my old 7340 Challenger.
All right.
Yeah. So you're into the mini bikes. You definitely got the whole taco thing dialed in. Now that tell us about what was the last one that you needed to complete the collection, and the story about how you acquired that bike, and when was that?
I just got that bike about 2 months ago, and my wife picked it up for me. She drove all the way up to Sacramento. Her and her mom picked up this bike and brought it back.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I know. I give her thank you
As a
for that.
surprise?
No, I couldn't get off of work, so she said, "I'll go up there. My mom and I do a road trip." I go, "Okay." I go, "It's far." Okay, and she went up
9
there.
hours.
What's your wife's name?
Arlene.
How cool, Arlene. You go directly to the top of the class. What model was it?
And it was the first year, 1963, Taco.
How'd you find it?
That one, it was on. Where did we find that one at?
Because
I
I'm
think
sure
it was
you're-
on Facebook. I think it is. I think some guy
It was
posted
on
it.
Facebook?
Oh, like where on Facebook would you
I
find
think
that?
under
Minibike
Minibike Nation,
Parts,
Minibike
like
Parts, or
one of
something
those
like that. Yeah.
Places, yeah.
Yeah, it
Minibike
was because
Nation,
Engine
something.
Tom was also interested in it too, and Engine Tom said the guy wouldn't call me back. He tried, so I said, "Well, let me give it a try." I called him and got in touch with him. I go, "You still got it?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "Okay." I'll send my wife up and pick it up. So she went up there.
Did he know what he had?
I don't think so.
What was the condition of it?
It's pretty good shape. It has the original engine in it and everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
So these bikes that you find, very few of them really were running. These are just bikes that were frames or...
Just frames.
maybe the
or
engine?
or frozen motors.
Yeah.
Things like that. So.
And that was so cool, Ed. You know, you go to these collections and you got to watch you don't sneeze because they're so nice. I loved the rawness of that video of seeing your collection, and there they are. There they lie. With so much potential, yet just so cool, just laying there.
Yeah, maybe better in his garage than someone else's garage pushed in a corner.
Well, your garage, a true garage absorbs what's put in it.
Mm-hmm.
You see some nice. I've been to some guys' houses that have had like badass garages. But again, it's intimidating. They're nicer than your house. I like somewhere you don't mind if you're going to drop a little solder or, whatever else, oils or brake clean. Who cares, right?
Mine's a working garage.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I like to go to Minibike Paul's garage and just mess it up and then say, "See you, Paul."
I was trying not to mention him as an example of one of those two nice garages, but he falls somewhere in the middle of all that. Hey, mentioning Paul, I really enjoyed our time with him.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I don't know if you had a chance to listen in. We had.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I really, as in retrospect, and I told him it's not like we hit it off right in the beginning because he's a strong personality.
Yeah, he says what's on his mind.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm down with that. And I love the respect that he showed and he has for you, Ed. Because I know we all break balls and have fun, but the fact is that you're a big part of a lot of the guys that have come through this garage. You really had.
I do something for a person, and next thing I know, it's like they're giving me more stuff to do, and it's like I'm kind of like Bill. I want to stay low key on that.
Yeah,
but it doesn't happen.
No, it just kind of comes up.
Doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And how often does that still continue for you, Bill? Like Ed? I mean, does the phone still ring where, hey, would you help me put this together? Or
sometimes not as much as it used to. In the beginning, it was ringing an awful lot, and then so I just said, I'm going underground. Got off of the internet and just said, you know what? Let's concentrate on my stuff, and that's it. Because it takes a lot of your time.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of something. They call you. You're working. They call you, and it's a lot of your time.
Well, and you wouldn't take that time away from your family or friends unless you were enjoying it, though, too, right? Isn't it nice? Isn't it nice to just kind of escape and shut the door and maybe put the music on and tear up or tear down or put the bike back in or put the engine back in? And when you do your builds or your rebuilds, what's a typical time frame? Do you take your time and do it at your leisure, or do you try to get them done? Are you one of those guys where you try to whip through it?
No, I just take my time.
Yeah.
I'm still collecting parts. So.
Speaking of that, in addition to the bikes, well, Ed, you've been over there. The engines, huh? The engines in that shelf?
I think I sold Bill an engine once, but he never did anything with it.
Well, that seems to be status quo.
Didn't I saw you? You came by that one day after work and picked it up at...
A Briggs?
No. It was a two-stroker.
Oh, that's right. That the 820 engine.
Yeah.
What came off of that? Burrow.
Whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I looked at it, and it was like Ace Hidaka 100, Briggs and Stratton Tecumseh. It's like, I don't know if you had McCulloughs in there or what else. Okay, there were some West Bends.
Yes.
What other engines do you have in that collection of yours? How many engines do you have in that collection? I couldn't keep track.
I don't know, maybe about 20 or so.
Okay, it seemed like there were more than that.
It could be, I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
But mainly West Bands and Power Products.
Were those your favorites growing up, or were
those are the ones that came on the tacos?
Okay, so through that was that why those became a little bit more of interest to collect?
Yes.
I have this 4-horse that Ed did, and you can see the Clinton back there and a couple of these others, and there's a few others lying around here. We were just saying they're tough to find now.
Yeah, they're getting harder and harder.
Yeah. What do you do with your engines when you put them down? Do you have a certain little routine? Like, do you drain the oil? Do you drain the gas? Or could you just put them up on the shelf?
I just put them on the shelf.
Yeah, because I started doing the same thing. It isn't until you try to get them running that you wish you maybe had.
Yeah.
So you've gone through enough of these engines in your times, haven't you? Were you that guy?
Yeah. A little bit.
Did you have a preference with Tecumseh's over Briggs and Stratton, for example?
Tecumseh's good engine. I had a Rupp bike, Scrambler, with a Tecumseh engine, and that thing was the nicest bike I've ever had.
Was it 4 or 5 horse?
It was, I think it was the 4 horse on the Scrambler. I think it comes with the 4 horse or 5. Really nice. I should have kept that bike.
Yeah.
Oh well.
And I noticed in some of the information as well that you didn't only have a chance to purchase this different models from, at the time it was Steens and then Taco, but they also had a myriad of engines that you could select from.
Yes, yes.
And it included the Tecumsehs, and it included Briggs, and it included Power Bees, I think is how they referred to it. I'm going to get through some of this stuff, and we actually share this on the podcast. So, although you may not be able to be seeing these sheets right this second, folks, we'll have that available for us when we post it. But yeah, on the engines, here's an example.
The farm products, yeah.
Yeah. So you had a chance to select not only those, but I believe you had an opportunity to select some other ones. Here's the West Bend.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, Ed, you had a chance.
580. Yeah.
Which is cool because it's almost like you get a chance to build a custom bike. We didn't know how good it was back then. Where you could not only...
You never know how good it's going to be back then, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, again, like the cars.
Yeah. Like in the early days, you can buy just a frame and put whatever size motor you want in it. You put a 580, a 820.
Sure.
You know.
With maybe just a few changes, right?
Yeah.
With maybe some shorter or longer bolts, or maybe... I noticed some of those... Remember you mentioned those Tecumsehs on those rups. Some of them were installed on like an angle. And I think there were a few other parts, but for the most part, it's those... You know, you had the opening at the engine mount plate on the bike, and you could put whatever you wanted in there with the 4 bolts and
right.
rock and roll.
It's kind of a universal standard, I think it is, the base plates on those things.
So were you a mini bike guy when you were very, very young, or did
since '67?
So how old are you? Like I'm 56 at the time.
I'm 60.
Okay, so
Okay.
you were.
Thanks for throwing that in, Bill.
So then you were into bikes early on.
Yes.
Yeah.
What started it was my cousin Mike. He came up. This is probably like '65. I was out on my front porch and I hear this racket. I go, "What the hell is that? A lawnmower or what?" And he comes driving up this little mini bike. It just blew me away.
Do you remember when it was?
It was a taco.
Oh, it was, okay.
It was a 2-stroke taco.
What color? Do you remember?
It was purple.
Yeah. Sure, right?
Where I grew up 2 miles from the place, from Steen's.
Whereabouts?
In Alhambra.
Okay.
And we used to ride our bikes there all the time. But anyway, my cousin comes up the street. What the hell is that?
New?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
I was like, this is like 63, 64, 65. So I was like, 8 years old, 7 years old. And it just blew me away. And ever since then.
Your older cousin?
Hooked. Yeah.
Sure. That always happens too. It's always the older brother,
yeah.
right? So did he just tease you and come by? Or did you ever get your mitts on it? You ever had a chance
He never gave me a ride on it.
That bastard.
Yeah, I don't want to say the F word, but yeah, I don't know. But
Well, we met halfway.
then,
what was your cousin's name?
His name was Michael.
Thanks, Mike. You teaser.
So he used to visit my other cousin, Gary, that lived up the street from us.
Okay.
Because they were the same age. Then they ended up getting a mini bike.
Gary?
Yeah.
So now everybody's got one but you?
Yeah.
Well, what's going on?
Eventually I got one, but
okay.
then he used to deliver papers, the Herald Examiner, on his little mini bike.
Yeah.
And I used to go with him, riding double on a little mini bike with
with
paper things. I don't know how we did it.
Yeah. Well,
But it was fun though.
Yeah, and they didn't come down on you like you're a criminal, No. It's like you wanted to ride a mini bike and risk your life, and say go right ahead.
But later on, the LAPD was getting pissed.
Yeah.
So like now in the late 60s, everybody had tacos. Only tacos. You couldn't have another bike.
Yeah.
You couldn't hang around with the guys.
Sure.
So there'd be packs of guys in the street, like 10, 20 guys, packs of tacos going wearing down the street. That was beautiful.
And it was when you were young, so you really that gave you that your first little dose of independence, right?
Yeah.
Maybe somebody had a Marlboro or something else. And then you'd
My
stop
mom-
somewhere, right, and do your
My
little.
mom used to pick us up from school at lunchtime, bring us home, ride the mini bike up and down the street, and take us back to school.
Are you
Yeah.
serious?
Yeah.
Because you were just that into it, right? You just
Yeah.
24/7 thinking
All
about
the
it,
time.
right?
All the time.
Yeah, and then did they? Well, it was also used as, if you screwed up, you didn't get to ride the mini bike.
I used to sneak out and do it anyway.
Well, sure.
Wait till they left, and my mom up and down the street, put it back.
So, we talked about the predictable stories, and they included usually how you got your first bike, but there's that one that we laugh about now, but it was a son of a bitch at the time. Was that those first good accidents and scars? Mm-hmm. What about yours?
I only wrecked one time. I went into the curb, broke the forks. The aluminum castings at the bottom on my 44.
Oh, it snapped?
And they snapped off.
We used to hit that curb pretty hard, huh?
Yeah, I hit it bad.
Did you lose your brakes, or I just
I just
a little
brain
preoccupied?
farted as a
Yeah.
kid. Sometimes you panic. And I just went to the curb and broke the front end off.
Take anything
Go over
off
the
you?
handlebars?
Pardon me?
Did you go over the handlebars?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
But I was okay. But now I'm stuck. I'm going, how am I going to get home now?
Well, plus you had to tell the story that you got into an accident. They usually, it's one thing if you scratch the paint. It's another thing if you broke the freaking axle, right?
Yeah.
So what happened with that bike? Was that where you learned how to work on them, or did that lead to another bike? Or
Yeah, then after that, I rebuilt it. Then it got stolen.
Why, sure.
You know.
Well, you got to check that
there's
box.
There's a lot of stolen bikes in my area.
Where were you keeping it at the time? Like in the garage in the back?
garage.
Or just yeah.
My brother forgot to close the garage door. Went back
Yeah.
down there to go, after we ate dinner. Went back down to I was working on it.
Sure.
It was gone.
Yeah, and it was probably an acquaintance of a friend or something. That's the sad thing.
Yeah.
But well, we'll give him a little bad karma now. Whoever took Bill's bike back then, you prick, or the karma guys are going to get to you, man.
And I still know the serial number
Wow.
of that bike. It was 7T 2016. So if anybody has that bike, I want it back.
For some reason, Ed, you know what's going to happen? He's going to end up with that bike.
That'd be great.
This number's got to be out there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if anybody knows, anybody's got any tacos that have been lurking in your uncle's garage you don't want to talk about, check the serial
It
number.
was a Taco 44.
Yeah. Okay, so mini bikes, but throughout all this, you've got a partner in crime that works out with you, your dad. Your dad's riding
Oh.
along with some of this stuff too. What's his name?
Rudy.
So how? Tell us a little bit. Tell us some Rudy stories. You know, I see him with their
Oh, yeah.
jalopy,
And
and
with jalopy
I also read that, you know, one of the favorite shots I have at the mini bike show is that trike of yours.
Oh, yes.
And did you mention Engine Tom or Engine Tim?
Engine Tom sold me the frame.
The
The
Bonanza
chopper
frame, right?
Yeah, just like what you got here.
Yeah. So you worked with your dad not only on that mini bike project, but he's been a part of a lot of the car builds
Oh,
that you do.
he started me off in the garage as we were kids. You know, we wanted to build, back in the late 60s, we wanted to build a trike because no one had built a trike yet. So we're taking my go-kart apart and we're starting to customize and stuff. The next thing you know, George Barris, here he comes out with the trike. My dad was pissed.
Oh yes, when he came out with the line of mini bikes and
Yeah, and
trikes.
that's when he had that trike
Yeah.
bike.
Okay.
And my dad just said, he just threw the towel and said, forget it.
Because
We wanted to be the first ones.
okay, got it. It wasn't that you just wanted to build one; you wanted to be the first.
Yeah, that one, my dad said, okay, forget it. So this bike came up with that Tom had. I go, hey, I'm going to put in my mind, I'm going to build that trike. And then on OMB, they had that bike build-off, mini bike build-off. I go, you know what, I can get my dad into this. So he come over when he can, or I go pick him up. And he helped me bend the tubing. We lengthened the frame 2.5 inches. And
Yeah.
he helped me out a lot.
One of the old little Bonanzas? I
Yes.
think I got one right behind you there.
Yeah, that one there.
Yeah.
So stretched the frame out and put rough go-kart back brackets for the axle mounting. And then we made, we did it.
Well, you
And
sure did.
He was very happy. It was good to get him back in the garage and accomplish something that we, 40 years later, that we finished.
Yeah, well, I loved it. I loved the front suspension. I loved the custom handlebars.
Yeah.
I loved the barrel tank in the back. You know, the way that you...
I got the tank in the front. I went down to Moon Eyes.
okay.
So they lived down the street from me, or their safes was on the street. And I had to make a custom tank for me. Just one off.
Coco or Chico?
Chico.
Yeah, Chico. Yeah, Chico. Boy,
Good guy.
Oh,
I've known him for a long time.
Yeah, I always thought that. In fact, Joe from at Taco, they had a variety of custom bikes they had done some time. Ed and I started doing a little bit of that as well. And I saw that there was one that was a Moon Eyes Taco. It looked kind of cool because they got that iconic logo. You put that Moon Eyes logo on anything and you use those little steely wheels. And
I made one of those way back when they had their open house down there, Christmas party. I made a yellow one with
Did you?
Moon Eyes stickers on it and everything.
I bet that was a hit, huh?
Oh yeah, everybody loved it.
Yeah. Back to your bike. The Bonanza was, as you said, there weren't any trikes out there. But to be insightful enough to realize how cool that frame would be to build a trike, because it's just set up. It's almost dying to be a trike.
Yes,
It's
it
got that
is.
triangle setup, extending it, dropping that in. What did you do with the engines? Wasn't it a 50cc engine?
50cc off a quad, so it's got 3 forward and 1 reverse gear.
Wow.
I traded my power washer for the quad.
That was a pretty good deal, huh?
Yeah.
So how long did that project with you and your dad, that custom chopper, how long did it take to build that? Was it like a half a year or a year?
No, we
or-
built it quick
You did that fast.
Did you?
because I think it starts in the end of January.
Yes.
And you got to have it done, I think, by May.
Oh, because that was a part of the build-off.
Right.
Yeah, what we're talking about is the OMB, the popular website's build-off competition.
You have to have it done before Wimber or something.
Something
Yeah,
like,
that would make
like
sense
3
because they
months.
would have the winning bike at Wiener, maybe as a big announcement. So that seems about right?
I think it's about 3 months, 4 months. You got to have it completed.
How did you do on that build-off?
I won.
Oh, I was going to say, because if you didn't, my God. Well, congrats on that. And thank you because, in fact, another thing is, in addition to that trophy, I probably owe you an apology because it's awkward, and I didn't think of the fact that your bike would have definitely been probably in the top 10, yet as a judge, I'm sure you probably, knowing you didn't judge it, and I don't get involved in the judging either. And after the judging, I think everybody was happy, and I think we really had a nice pick.
Mm-hmm.
But I asked myself, it's like, I don't want to get involved in the judging. It's like the last thing I want to do holding the event. And I know that it's troublesome because you guys can just be hanging out enjoying it too, not to mention you've got nice bikes. So thank you for the help.
Oh, no
I think
problem.
ultimately it'd be nice to have you pass the baton on to some eager beavers who would not only like to spend a little time with you guys as you walk around one year, but maybe the following year after they get an idea of what criteria you use, we can have some other folks. I'm really digging old Ian and Eric, those younger guys up in central Fresno area, CB mini guys. I'd like to get some of the younger guys involved, not only attending, but judging, But your bike definitely was one of the top bikes, not only at the show this past year, but since you've been coming. And thank you for coming.
Oh, yeah, last year, too.
Yeah, thank you
Or
for
the
that.
previous year, yeah.
So you've been to the show a couple times. We had a dyno last year.
Right.
And that, although many people were unaware of it being there, in fact, I made it kind of happen late. So it wasn't as if I had a big chance to tell the world, but that seems to have caught some attention.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you heard anything about it or what you thought about it, but it's going to be back again this year.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
And maybe if you've got a little something that you'd like to put on the dyno, you can roll that out. And you've got an open invitation to
Put a
bring
wristband on there.
Oh, I'd love that.
That'd
Yeah.
be cool, man.
Yeah.
See what we get out of that.
So the West Bends were what, 580s and then
580s, 610, 820s,
yeah.
and 700.
So I want one. And just like everybody, right? And once you get it, I'd love to get it on a small bike. Like the winner of Joe's Minibike Reunion last year was that really small. Was it a Rutman? Whatever it was, that little red bike.
Oh,
Yeah, I
you
think
guys
it was
picked it.
might have been.
Yeah, and it was just so plain and cool and simple. But I'd love to get a small bike like that and put one of those 820s on there. Just not to ride it. I mean, just to the total change of a small bike and a big engine. I also have one of these big air horns like they do on semis.
Oh,
I'd love to put one of those on a mini bike. We got to try to find a way to do that.
Oh, you can do that.
Sure,
yeah.
you can. So, the mini bikes, although it's pretty simple to understand as a young kid how you really fall in love with them.
Yeah.
They're really the only things we can get our hands on. We're not old enough to drive. We're not big enough to drive in some cases. But then we get to a point where now all of a sudden we're in our 50s and we can, unfortunately, it's tough to keep that same zeal with most people. Yet you're able to still keep the mini bikes a part of your day in, day out deal. What is it about them, Bill, that still keeps you, in love with them, so to speak?
I think because I had such a good childhood riding these things, I still want to keep that going. I try to pass it on to my kids, but they had nothing to do with it. They were into the new stuff, so I'm just trying to keep it going on my own. But it just makes you feel good to go in there, tinker around a little bit, put some music on, remember the old days.
Do you find yourself out there most of the weekends or most of the evenings, or what are the things are you into? I know you're
every day.
Yeah,
I'm out there every day.
So I haven't been to your place. I've got to get there. It seems like it's a rite of passage. But you had the Desert Jalopy out there. You've got the early Fords. What is the plan now? Is it try to get that thing out to El Mirage, or what are you going to do with the car?
I've already taken the Jalopy out to my El Mirage already. Just drive it around. It's just a driver car. I built that as token of appreciation
sure.
for my father.
Okay.
The body's at 26. My dad was born in 26, and it's kind of a here you go, Dad.
Would you get up to like 100 miles an hour?
No,
how fast
it's only like 40
70?
horsepower.
Oh, okay,
it's,
so like
it's got
55?
a Model A engine in it,
Nice.
so it's not that much.
Yeah, just a
little putter, just to go up there and put around the lake bed. That's all I did.
And how do you like that?
I love it.
How about
I
your
love
dad?
it. Oh, he loves it, man. He loves it.
I bet that's a big thing with him.
Yeah, he's. I wanted to give it to him for his birthday this past February, but I was running late, so he got it in May.
I'm sure you didn't mind that one bit.
No.
So, what other projects you going to do with him for the next 50 years?
Right now, I don't know. Right now, he's tired. He's not doing too well, so he's tired.
Is he?
Yeah.
How old of a guy is he?
90. He just turned 90.
Man, God bless him.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to see 90 yet.
Not me.
I don't know.
I know, not me.
Well, hell, if he's got to 90, he's probably going to easy get to 100. Maybe
Yeah,
you
you
got
never
another
know.
project.
I don't
Maybe-
even know I'm going to see 61.
Oh, hell you are. You got it. You're on contract here through, I think, I don't know what in the hell it is, 2017. What about the next, what's next for Taco Bill now that you've checked off the collection of every Taco mini bike?
Now, starting the first of the year, I'm going to start restoring them all.
That's good.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and get all my 22s together, do all those first, then the 44s and 99s.
So you'll begin a quest to rebuild essentially most of those bikes, right?
Yeah.
And have you at all tried to give yourself a timeline or a completion date you're just going to get to?
Not on those, no. There's
Got it.
too many.
Yeah.
And,
And each of them need different parts,
Yes.
right? So you almost have to.
All the parts I get, like I say, I buy old bikes just for like a fork or spring, the bottom aluminum castings.
Sure.
Things like that.
So what will you do then? Will you literally, before you start the rebuilding them all, will you start with what you have, or will you be sure you have everything?
I'll be sure I have everything.
Okay.
That's why I start with the 22s, because I know I have enough parts for all the 22s.
All right.
Then just take it from there.
And is the goal to bring them back to new condition or just complete them so that they're assembled?
They'll be new condition.
Okay. So will we see a little bit of rust and dents, or will they all be?
They'll be pristine.
Oh wow. Okay. So you're gonna go that
Yeah, all
whole
the way.
route.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like if you went to the dealer and saw a brand new bike, that's
Got
how
it.
they'll be.
Yeah. Okay. Because there's a lot of guys that just want to keep that old look that they've acquired, and
Yeah.
that it's popular with cars. So I was curious how you're going. Either way, you can't go wrong with getting those going, and then they then go back in the shelf just like they sat before they rebuild. Will you?
Once I get them all complete, then I like to put them in a museum.
I was gonna
so
say
people
that.
can see them.
I was going to say that, and here's what I'd like to tell you. There's a gentleman that handles the museum, Terry, who is a really nice guy, and he's making a lot of good things happen at the Peterson Museum. And as you may know, I used to work there with Peterson for a long, long time. Mr. Peterson, with all of his
Robert,
magazines. Yeah. So when the museum opened, we were still all there. I was a publisher of one of the magazines at the time. And when Mr. Peterson passed, he left the museum as well as a lot of other things to the city and to the state. And that museum has really kicked it up a notch or two.
Mm-hmm.
In some people's eyes, almost too much. In comparison maybe of the direction they thought Pete wanted to take it, it's taken maybe a tiny bit of a turn. It went from just really hot rods to now a little bit more glitz and glamour. And although I don't mind it one bit, some people feel a little bit protective that it was really born to be a hot rod style museum.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, the guy's name is Terry Cargis. And Terry is doing a lot. In fact, this weekend, you can go see the Chip Foose collection.
Oh, cool.
Every other Saturday or the last Saturday of the month, there's a car show. I took the 51 Chevy. Me and my buddy Mikey rolled out there, and it was great. And there's a lot of ascots and monocles and hoity-toity guys, but there's also some hardcore guys. And there's a lot of cool cars in that area. And we're talking about Wilshire Boulevard, right, where the museum is. But Terry has invited people to go downstairs and go to the vault,
Ooh.
right, where they've got all the cars that are so cool, but no one gets to see them. So they're really doing some good things there, and they're themed. In fact, I've got some photos. I went there for the reopening. It was last Christmas, right before last Christmas, and they had a whole collection of not only motorcycles, but old bikes like the Harley Davidson toppers.
Oh, wow.
And they had them built, and Ed, you would love it too. They were in these beautiful, tough steel, I guess you would call them storage racks. And they were like maybe 8 feet by 10 foot each, and they had each bike in there with a nicely presented, like
okay.
you'd imagine the Peterson Museum. It was just awesome.
Mm-hmm.
If you if you complete that deal and you've got those bikes done, I know that Terry would find a place where you'd have a chance to have a viewing there.
Oh,
it may be in
great.
tandem with something else.
Oh yeah.
But I bet that happens. And you know what? The folks not only at the museum would appreciate it, but the folks that checked it out would love it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that would be really cool for you too to be able to share that, and vice versa. People share their appreciation for all the effort, because you've been at this now how many years?
I probably started 20 years ago.
Christ. And you're not done, right?
No.
So Ed, how long is it going to take him to redo all those bikes when you think about it? You know, like it's 2000 in.
And nothing's powder coated. Everything's painted.
Yeah, well, you
That
better
makes
not
it
powder
even
coat.
tougher.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
No
Well, you may have
powder
to
coat.
enlist the power. Ed, you may have some
It's
more
gonna be
work.
a while. It's gonna be a while.
Well, let's think about it, though. You know, I know you guys, and if you had to, you could put a mini bike together in an hour. But in that same token, that's not what this is about. Especially when you're bringing those bikes back to.
Mm-hmm.
So is it if you got all the parts and they're ready to go? Are we doing these things in maybe a week, or do you think you kind of see yourself like, who cares?
I'm not in a hurry.
All right.
I'm not in a hurry. Like I said, I'm still collecting parts. So.
Okay. What parts are you still collecting?
You know, maybe handbrakes, throttles, foot pegs and things. So I get stuff from Indonesia, Germany, Spain, England, wherever I can find them.
All original?
It's stuff that they used back then.
Got it.
Since John Steen was building these things, he was also raced with Steve McQueen, you know, back in what do you call it, in Europe.
Okay.
So his influence, he was sponsored by Triumph.
Right.
So his influence was all the British bikes. So a lot of this stuff is British. Foot pegs, throttles, and all that's all
so it's
British.
still lurking there.
It's still lurking around.
And how do your tentacles reach that far? I mean, is it
eBay?
just really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found some good stuff in Indonesia. They got a lot of good stuff out there. Now I just gave it away. Now everybody's going to look in Indonesia on eBay.
Yeah, you're gonna get beat out on something.
I'm going to be beat out now.
Well,
Sniper alert.
with the 6 people that are watching, and 4 of them are us, I think you're going to be okay. But if the other 2 who have decided to, you know, there's the Republican acceptance speech going on there. I see Donald Trump in the background, so I'm sure that nobody who's watching this podcast are going to be watching TV right now. But there's something really unique about what you've done with this collection of tacos, and to hear that you're going to now acquire these parts and get these all put back together.
Mm-hmm.
That's about as cool as you collecting them all. So
Yeah, I'm
I really
collecting
kinda
them,
thank
I'm
you for that,
restoring them,
man.
and doing everything, yeah.
yeah, you know, at some point, I'd love to have those bikes at my event. You know, could you imagine? I'd even help pay for the delivery. But you know, to think about that, that's going to be one hell of a collection. I don't know how you're going to get 30, 40 bikes out at one place, but
Sad thing is, that last bike he needed, someone he knew had that bike and would not sell it to him.
Oh,
And would rub it in his face all the time.
why would you bring that up?
But I don't
would you
know.
bring that?
I don't know.
Isn't it
Something
funny?
to talk about.
I was there when he bought it, and that was 20 years ago. And every time I see him, he throws his bike on my
That's
face.
pretty-
all these years through
pretty
your
chicken
friendship or
shit,
through all the
yeah.
cool stuff that you had,
Yeah,
this guy wouldn't trade?
wouldn't trade, wouldn't sell it, do nothing.
It was
And-
like
and-
to terrorize him.
Yeah,
It was
it just sits
sad.
there. It just sits there. He doesn't do anything with it.
So he offed it, and then you got it from
No,
the...
he still has
He
it.
still has
Oh,
it.
got
But-
it.
But Bill needed that bike. You know, hey, if someone needed a Bonanza
come
and I
get it.
had it, I would sell it to
Yeah,
him,
you
you know,
got
to
it.
complete something.
Oh, shit. If you knew it was the last bike to complete the collection, he's
I
your
would
friend,
be like
you give
playing
it to him.
games and no.
He
No,
knows
you
I'm
can't
not.
have it.
Yeah, he knows I'm not going to resell it.
Yeah.
I want it for my collection. It's going to go to a good home. But he just that kind of a person. You know?
Well, you know
I
what?
hate those people.
And now since then, I've gotten 3 of them.
Sure.
So it worked out better for me.
Well, I do think that, you know, what your hobby interests are with these tacos, it's very common and very, you know, amongst the troops. Everybody's aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
Just as Paul said on the show last time he was here, was that he was amazed at how many people that he got in contact with through eBay that aren't a part of like OMB or Craigslist, right? So there's something about whether finding a part or the person that has it doesn't want to give it up. You got it. That's all that matters at the very
Yeah,
end.
sell anything.
You got it. You got it. You got it. And now that more people are going to be aware of this collection outside of the inner circle, what I was getting at is that I bet you continue to be the first source folks try to get a hold of when they've got what they think are historical tacos. That's why I was asking if anybody had reached out to you, because with all these shows, the American Pickers and all the other countless shows that are out there, we were talking about the collectability of mini bikes, along with the Americana and the whole cool factor. And at Taco Bill, I can see the American Picker guys rolling down there and going down to your
Trying
place.
to pick from Bill.
Could you imagine?
I don't.
That's funny when they go picking. I alwa's look. I don't look at what they're looking. I look behind that. Beyond that. Yeah.
Well, so I was with my buddy Tim. Tim's a great guy, and he's got a cool house out at the river, and it's on the Arizona side of the river. And we were, I forgot my train of thought here. I'll come back to it, but he had a Cushman that his dad had drove around at the old Trader's warehouse. Remember Trader's off of Whittier, off of the 605 and the 60. It was all big semi truck service and sales and repair.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, his dad passed unfortunately, and Tim has some of those old things, and he had one of these trike Cushmans.
Oh. Wow.
Did you ever get into the Cushmans?
No, not at all. No.
Did you, Ed? There's something cool about them. I've seen a few of them, and I know most of the ones I've seen early on were the carts, but I didn't realize there were trikes, and I didn't realize that there were other styles that they make of Cushman. But there's like a motorcycle that they have. You know, it looks like a mini dresser. Yeah. So you never got into those, huh?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I've had cats and rubs and bonanzas and stuff, but always loyal to the taco mini bike.
Yeah, cats seem to be popular here.
Yes.
I never was a cat guy. I remember those ads though. Were you ever into cats, Ed?
No.
Ed, it's just, you better be Bonanza, right? I noticed that the Rups were big in the Midwest for some reason. Everybody in the Midwest had Rups. They were too expensive for us. We weren't going to be partaking in any Rups. So the car deal, how does that fit in with a typical day in a life with you? So just a part of one of the ongoing projects that you have in addition to the mini bikes, working on the cars?
Cars, now I'm working on a 30 Model A coupe now.
Talk a little bit about the coupe.
I'm going to chop it this weekend. Taking 3 to 4 inches off the top.
Nice.
Do that. Having some friends over. Danny Boy's coming over, checking it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I've met Danny Boy. His name pops up all the time.
Yeah, real good guy.
Tell us a little bit about
He's
him.
been to the reunion.
Yeah. But his name has popped up. I just, for some reason, I don't know that I remember actually having a chance to meet him or get introduced to him. Who is he?
He's one of the guys that hangs out with us, and he's a really good painter.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen his enchilada bike? That thing was badass, man.
Tell us about that, Ed. What's the deal with the enchilada bike? What is it?
Let Bill tell you.
It's a
taco. I'm into bonanzas. I look at, that's a nice taco.
That's it, right?
That's it.
Yes. Oh, you better tell me that, Bill.
Well, he started off with a Frijoles frame, and he just painted it all up, put a gas tank in the back, and painted it really, really nice. I think he won. I think he entered it.
What was one that he had taco with hot sauce? Was that another one? I think he had one.
Why, were they badass engines in the bikes, or were they,
They were like stock engines.
Oh, okay.
They were stock engines, but he's a really good painter and artist. Very, very good.
He had one, I know, it was written on the tank, it said taco with hot sauce, I think. Or something. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, it was the enchilada one. And the enchilada had the tank in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That logo, that taco logo, has to be the coolest, simplest logo ever made. You know,
He's a little
when you look
bean
at that.
is what it is.
Yeah, but just as I say that, the one that really resonated with me and still continues to make me just stop is whenever you see a Bonanza badge. I just get that way. I get that way when I see that little badge.
Just like a stop sign.
The Battle of the Taco Bonanza. No, I was upstate New York, and the Bonanzas, I had a Bozo. That's how bad I had it. And the Bonanzas were for those two, especially the 5 horsepowers. It wasn't the kids that lived in the apartments. It were the kids that their parents owned a home and they had a lawn. You know, they got the Bonanzas. I still look out for them. I don't see them in California as often. In fact, all the ones that were worth buying, Ed probably has gone through. But as you can see, I've got a couple over here. I got a couple there, and I've got a couple over at Campbell Automotive. I love the Bonanzas. Those are the ones that got to me. Not in a way that the tacos got to you, though.
when my mom and dad bought me my first Taco 44 in '67, we went down to Steen's. It was right down the street from me where they made them.
Okay.
I was so nervous I couldn't even get out of the car to go pick it up. I sent my brother out there to go pick one out for me.
Wow.
And bring it back to the car. I couldn't. I was shaking so bad.
Because it was almost like you didn't believe it, wasn't it?
Wow.
I was like that.
Yeah. When you're a kid,
It was like,
Yeah.
well, this is the biggest thing. The biggest thing to happen.
I'm scared.
I remember being like that, just as you described it, when I got my first Schwinn bike. It was during the time that lemon peelers and apple crates and all those Stingrays with the small tire and that shifter that didn't click.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
like that. And I wasn't able to get one of those, but I got the basic Stingray. And me and my mom walked from my home to the bicycle shop, which was well over a couple miles in the summer. And then I rode it back along her as she walked back. And it was a beautiful day until I got pretty close to my house. And it really, I hate to say this, but it turned out to be a shitty day, literally, because the only option I got on this bike, I couldn't get like the 5-speed apple crate or the lemon peeler. That was a badass one, the yellow one. But I did get the slick in the back of my kind of stock Stingray. It was green. And it had the banana seat, but it just wasn't the cool one. But it was all right because I had the slick. Otherwise, I'd been a total pussy. But with the slick, I can almost get into the club. You know, you said if it wasn't a taco, you don't show up.
Right.
Well, it's kind of like the saying that you show up with a Schwinn, it better at least have a slick. And I was having an out-of-body experience riding that bike, and I couldn't ride too fast because I tried to keep up with my mom, and she wasn't in a big hurry. And at the time, it was like $56 for that thing. And it wasn't like you're just going to get that all the time. I was very lucky to get that bike, right? And I just about getting home, and I inadvertently ran over a big pile of dog shit.
Oh.
And it got in all my front tires in the back, and I swear, you know, like you get a brand new car, and then the first day you get a door ding, it's never the same. Man, I couldn't get that shit out of my tire. But you couldn't get out of the car to get the mini bike. You know, how old are you? Do you kind of remember at the time?
I was 11.
All right, yeah, sure. It'll take you over. It's intoxicating, man. So, when did you finally get the balls to get out of that car? When you got home?
No, when you finally brought it down the ramp.
Yeah.
And right then I got off, and I just like.
Did you cry a little bit?
I probably did. I probably did.
So, do you remember that first day bringing it home?
Oh yeah.
Like, what did you do? Did you ride until you put 2 tanks of gas in it, or what?
I just kept riding it all day and all night. It was towards the evening when we got it, probably about 4 in the afternoon. And then we just rode it all night. And my first day, my brother, he drove it and already wrecked it. He scraped the side of it.
Oh, right.
So, but it was fun. It was just all part of growing up and everything. It was fun.
Yeah, I think the best day was not only the day you got it, but as tough as it was to go to sleep, it was when you woke up that next morning and you had to pinch yourself that you had a mini bike.
Yeah.
And it was like, all right, shit's on now.
You were a tough guy then.
Well, yeah, things are never to be the same again. And with that said, we're going to take a quick little pause and Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast. We're here with Taco Bill, William Perea, and Evil Ed. We're talking about tacos. Don't talk to Ed about the tacos. He's had enough.
That's a nice taco.
We'll be back in a little while. Thanks, guys, for checking us out if you're on Facebook Live, and we'll be back right after something else.
Joe's Minibike Show.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to The Garage. It's Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast. It's podcast number 8. And Donald Trump was unable to join us tonight, but we got the next best thing. We're sitting down with Taco Bill, William Perea. You know, it's almost the opposite way. William Perea, a.k.a. Taco Bill. Here, Evil Ed, Big Ed. The heat's not too bad. You all right?
Pretty good.
I thought we were going to sweat our ass off.
This is a good show.
It's cool, literally. Taco Bill.
Hey.
So far, so good. Yeah, you like mini bikes?
Mm-hmm.
You like early Fords.
Yes.
You like El Mirage. Dude, you like Philippe sandwiches.
Oh, the best.
I'm digging you. What do you think
thanks.
about the podcast so far?
Great. It's great.
What were you thinking it was going to be? You know, sometimes you think they're going to stick me in some room and, you know.
It's just so informal. You feel at ease here. I like that.
Yeah, the garage, I think, does that, doesn't it?
I feel at home in here. Yeah, the garage.
Plus, if you get here a little early, you know, whatever concerns or nervousness, or in your case, maybe a little upset stomach, kind of goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you start getting into it, I was nervous at first.
Well, you.
Only
What
for
about
like
me?
5 minutes.
I thought I was doing a friggin' TV
Only
show
for
and
5
looking
minutes
at,
or so.
you know, and it just turns out to be one of those things where I think that is the beauty of it.
Yeah.
That there, it's casual, right?
Yes.
I tried to at least do a little bit of homework, and I must admit that honestly, most of the questions I had about your zeal for these tacos and the collection and all that stuff, I'm there, and I know that you're a man of few words for the most part, but there's something about what you've done with those iconic bikes. And although there are still other folks that are responsible for that name and that brand, you have to be probably one of the most appropriate spokespersons of that brand, despite it. You know, so as a historian and as a collector and as a now, if you ever wanted to put the mark a professional builder who after you go through this collection of tacos. And I'm really happy to hear about that, as I'm sure many of the other folks that are listening are, that you're going to be bringing those bikes back to life. And it's through that, and it's that caliber of a person that I've tried to identify through the Hall of Fame. And I'd like to take a moment now, although I think I may have made you aware of it, but I want to officially recognize you and congratulate you on being a member of the Minibike Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is going to our 4th year, I believe, of the Hall of Fame. Ed's in there. Ed, congratulations.
Thank you.
As well as Charles and
Mac.
and Taco Joe and Dave Miller, and I also would like to give you a little something. You know, I have these and I'll likely give you another one.
Oh, he's got that.
But I'd like to give you this
hat
with the Hall of Fame deal.
All right.
Now, it's like, why not enjoy it now? So congratulations on that, brother.
All right. Thank you very much.
Small
Appreciate
way of saying thanks, and we'll have a little bit of
I got one that says that on the side.
You do?
Oh.
He's got the first one.
No.
Well, you all do.
Yeah.
You all do, because I had only made 12. I made one for myself, and then even I couldn't wear one because I'm not in the Hall of Fame. So that's just how it goes. I won't be able to. I didn't even try one on. I actually like the other blue hats as well. But look, that's a small way of not only recognizing what you do, but we'll also have a chance to do a little bit more of that on the 1st of October, where you and another important person in this industry will be enshrined into the Hall of Fame. And, you know, as mushy as it sounds, you know, I'm really happy that we started that, and I'm really hopeful that as it grows and continues to grow, that as you look around at some of the other guys that are in that class, you not only feel good about yourself, but you feel good about them. And by all means, as a Hall of Famer, I take a lot of what you guys say to heart with whatever it is that I'm up to. You know, so whether it's things that I like to do with the event or having promotions like the podcast, or who knows, maybe some other things. So now that you're in that club, I hope that maybe we can have an opportunity to get to know each other a little bit more as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been around, and you mentioned some of the guys in the industry, but outside of Evil Ed and outside of the Max, who are some of the other guys that you were going through this mini bike craze with? Who are some of the other guys that kind of ran along with you at the shop or helped you out?
I think Danny Boy. I hang around with Danny Boy a lot.
Yeah.
He's a real good guy.
Yeah, Danny Boy the painter, right?
Yeah, but like George, not George. Yeah, George 3.
George 3.
George
Yeah,
3.
yeah.
George 3.
George
Oh,
3.
he called me the other day.
The guy sells the engines?
He sells everything.
Well,
He got everything.
George, please. I'm still in shock from the quote he gave me on my 5 horsepower. Jesus Christ, George. I just want to buy the engine, not the rights to the company. Is it that, George? I still love you, George.
Probably
That's
so,
Dad
yeah,
George.
yeah,
That's
that.
George.
Dad
Christ,
George.
I've got a guy with the Minibike show. These are the guys you give a little bit of a break to.
Yeah.
Who else? So besides George,
Minibike Paul and Nick or Cliff.
Yep.
And
hey, wait a minute.
Nick.
Things couldn't have always been great with you, Minibike Paul. If he's the Minibike Paul I know, how long have you known him?
Jeez. How long we?
A few years.
Yeah, 6
He
years.
tests you once in a while, doesn't he?
He's fine with me. He's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, he does like you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's a real good guy. I like
He
that
is.
guy.
When it's all said and done, isn't he?
Yes.
Sometimes he gets a little moody when, you know, but he's all right.
Don't we
He's
all?
just an old grumpy man like me, you know.
If you get on his bad side, just take him to Bob's Big Boy.
Buy
and
him
it'll
a
be fine.
burger.
You found that
Yeah.
out.
And it'll be fine.
You found that out. He's going to be back on the show. I got to have him in when we do that round table.
Oh
Plus,
yeah.
it was his idea too.
Yeah, it's a
He'd
good-
kill
that's
me
a
if
good
I didn't
one.
have him back in. Plus, I wanted. He was really good. You know what I was worried the
Just
most?
to get him to stay off that damn phone.
Oh, he was big on the phone. Well, I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah.
he was trying to just maybe communicate with some of because he loves his family. You can tell.
Turn that thing off.
You know,
for an
his
hour.
daughters and his sons and his son-in-laws. I'm sure they
You
all
hear
wanted
that,
to.
Paul? Turn that thing off for an hour and a half.
Well, he couldn't. That was the funny part. I was telling him, it's like, there's a power button on there, and then he gave me that look, like, it's like, okay, I'm just saying, if you really want to turn that thing off. So who else? Who are some of the victims outside of Cliff and
Tom Props.
Tommy Props? You talked about him
he was
too.
a good guy.
Yeah.
Real good guy. And Engine
how-
Tom up north.
RPM, Rob,
Yeah.
that Paul was suggesting was a really good racer as well.
He's a racer, yeah.
Little interesting feedback about him. It seems like out there he's known. Maybe not in the same category or
He's in the racing, racer part, driving,
Yeah.
racing.
I think Paul's portrayal is one that a friend would project, maybe a little bit on the high side. For those of the folks that also know RPM, he got knocked down to a little bit less than a superstar racer, but nevertheless got a lot of respect from some of those guys. You know, it's kind of funny, Ed, and just to get off topic a little bit here, you can't help but see some of the humorous posts on Facebook, and there's been some good ones of late. And whether it's guys that have known each other forever, that grew up with this, they're still battling it out. You know, it's one thing to break each other's balls in your 20s. These guys in their 30s and 40s. So I love the fact that what this also does, this mini bike craze, it allows us to still be kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there's a lot of talk because guys are racing now. And,
Well, I saw a post on Facebook.
yeah, and everybody.
If you haven't grown up by 60, you don't have to.
That's a good one. I like that.
So there's some racing going on now, and the racers are talking a little bit of.
Oh, they always do.
Yeah,
that.
and the builders, and a lot of the old guys, and a lot of the new guys, and you know, I here's what it just tells me: there's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of interest in the mini bike craze, and the racing element, and the going fast, and the building aspect of it. It's on. I do wish that we had more appropriate places to ride, and that continues to be our biggest push up here. You know, the days where you toss newspapers from the tacos with your buddy, it's a different world out there now, right?
Yeah.
And it's still kind of a roll of the dice as to whether or not you want to bring out your old 68 Bonanza or maybe your $5,000 Pro Mod drag bike to the riverbed to see if you can get a couple rides in without maybe getting your bike taken away. You know,
That's what I'm afraid of, taking your bike out and getting confiscated or taken away and not getting it back.
What have been some of the experiences and stories that you have about those back in the day? Any of them good?
I've
Any
got a
of them-
lot of tickets.
Was that the extent of it? They would give
And
you a
just
ticket?
tickets, yeah. I got so many tickets. The juvenile judge at the courthouse already knew who I was.
Where
Oh,
was-
you here again? Oh, yeah.
Just like the judge was the same, though. Wasn't it also that the cops that were yanking you over, weren't they wasn't it the same fat guy
Well-
that, you saw on the Saturdays, or the same young cop that wanted it for his son? You knew
I
the
think
cops,
there
too.
were so many of us. I think they're making so much noise that people would just start complaining. There's just too many of these kids doing that. And so guys take the mufflers out, put a straight pipe.
Yeah.
You get the backfiring, you know.
That was us.
And here you go. Goes a cop. You know, everybody just takes off. So
Yeah.
Sometimes you get caught, sometimes you don't.
So who else is on that list of characters?
Oh, Edwin.
Oh, yeah.
You don't see Edwin too much anymore.
Yeah, Edwin's.
Does anybody talk to him? I think that Charles may.
He's on Facebook.
He's on
Is he?
Facebook. He's into
Yeah.
bicycles a lot now.
Yeah, he's bicycling.
If you have a chance, or if you talk to him, I think this has always been open. I'd love to have Edwin join us. maybe Edwin could sit down with us in one of those roundtable podcasts.
Yeah,
His
he's a
name
real
seems
good
to
guy.
pop up.
Really
Yeah.
good guy.
What are your memories of Edwin on your end?
I was going racing with him up at Ventura when Paul was putting that event on. That was so much fun. That was great.
What were your memories of that, Bill? Just
I won one race. I won a race.
Did you?
Yeah.
Was
But
it
it's not so much winning, just participating in something like that.
so how'd that turn out to be like a couple night deal where you'd pack up the truck and get ready to take off the following morning and roll up and get back that night?
Yeah, just a one day thing.
Who would you go up there with?
I'd go by myself, or I'll bring my cousin will come with me, or my friend Johnny. He would come and meet up with everybody up there.
And who was up there? Ed and everybody else? Or
Everybody was there.
remember any of those guys back then?
Yeah, it was all the guys that I named were all up there.
Sure.
I don't think Mac went though.
No, Mac didn't go.
Mac didn't go, but
That's when
Guard-
Rodney lost it. Remember?
Yeah.
Rodney fell in that turn.
yeah,
knocked
I think
himself
it's on
out.
it's on YouTube, I think.
Yeah, knocked himself out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about, we did like a little deal where we did a name game. And I think you've got a lot of those same names that Paul had, because for the most part, despite how big it was the same group of guys, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's big, but it's small.
So when you went up to El Mirage, when was that? How
It was
many
in
months?
May.
May?
Yeah.
What was the climate like there? Because I know they've had some issues there.
It was warm, but it was really windy. They couldn't race on Sunday; it was just too darn windy. They shut it down.
How long did you get to drive around there?
All day. I even drove in the wind. It was fine because I stayed up there,
Yeah.
and it was nice, really nice. I like it.
So we've got a couple things coming up in the podcast. We've got Tim from Iski, who's going to be
Oh,
joining
cool.
us. And Ed, we got to make a little bit more room on the table because Charles is going to join us as well.
We got to find this. Let's see, 1, 2.
Yeah, we got a
can
task
handle
for
it.
all of us. And it continues to be a good thing for us because many of the guys whose names pop up, like Iski, they've caught the podcast and they've made we're so.
There's a YouTube video of him on my Bonanza.
How long ago was that video
A
shot?
couple of years.
Oh, really? I'd like to get our hands at that.
2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, point us to that. We'll put it in the podcast. And Iski seems to be a lot like most of the guests. They're kind of our age. He's just doing his deal. But man, the stories we're gonna, I'm sure, hear from him. Just the stories about his dad alone.
Yeah.
And he's doing really well with his business, so that's going to be cool. Another guy that we brought up who's going to be on the show is a guy, and actually he is out of Lancaster or Palmdale. I keep getting those two confused. Sean Reed?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we said,
He's putting out some nice mini bikes. I've seen him on Facebook.
did you see the latest ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and he's just another example, Bill, like we were talking about, is that, we're kind of, most of the guys that have been on the show, we're in our 50s and our 60s, but these young guys are really, really into it.
Yeah, they're taking it to the next level now. Drag bikes and stuff. That back then they didn't have no drag bikes. They just had a bike and rode on the street. But now these guys are getting really creative.
Yeah.
Really good.
In fact, Big Rick, another one of the hopefully upcoming Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast guests. In fact, Charles and I had been talking about who we could maybe get. And when you think about it, it's tough when you do a podcast with 3 people, let alone 4, 5, or 6. So you have to, it's got to be a little bit more focused than our casual style, the way we wing things here. But having those guys come around, you really want to be somewhat selective in terms of who you have. So Charles is hoping to join us, and he also mentioned maybe getting Vernell, Home Alone, to join us, and see if we can maybe get Big Rick. I would like to have as many folks as we can, but not all at once. So maybe we get a nice group the first time and then continue that on an intermittent basis, because we got a few more podcasts we're going to do before the show. And I'm hopeful that we'll be seeing you at the Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast. October date looked good for you as we
Sure,
speak?
no problem.
Because otherwise we'll be a little embarrassed when we try to induct you into the Hall of Fame and you're not there.
Not there.
Although that did happen to me last year when Home Alone couldn't make it out there.
That's right,
But
yeah.
I pretended I was him. It didn't go over. I think I'm just, something about me, I just don't look like him. Ed, we have a little bit of business to talk about, but we still have some time. If I can do anything to help on the Powell, that's a SEMA show bike. I bought a Powell kit that was lingering at Paul's shop, and I was able to sweet talk Ed into helping me put that together. Have you ever had a Powell in any of your
No, I have not.
in your stable? Never been a Powell guy?
Lucky. You're lucky.
No. There's a guy in the neighborhood that had one, and it was the weirdest looking thing.
They are.
We all just stayed away from it.
Yeah, I got like that with like the tote goats and those Thule Troopers too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did own a Thule Trooper. I kind of fell into it, and I didn't mind it once I had it. It was kind of, you know, they had that seat that was the suspension, the way that it was set up, but it was so big and so big, I guess.
Yeah.
But I love that back where it looked like a pickup truck. You know, you had a little bed in it, and I'm sure that somebody creative like you could take one of those Thule Troopers and get that thing down and use that box and put an engine in that rear end.
There's some airbags going.
There
You know?
go, man. Yeah. Put
So,
a springer on it.
and isn't it always those bikes, those ones that we really just, it's like a 4-door Nova, you know? Or like a 4-door muscle
where
car.
it
It's like they
looks-
just don't
too
work.
bad it's not a 2-door.
Yeah,
But now look what's
yeah.
happening. Now look what's happening. Particularly not only with the cars, but also anything 4-door. They're calling them quad cabs. So that old 64 Nova, they had the 4 doors. It's like, nah, I don't want it. It's not it. It's not it. All the coupes are going.
Yeah, it's hard. All the
So,
cars
so
are
the
going.
4 doors are, and especially the 4-door wagons, they're getting away with it. And when there's nothing else out there, so who knows? Maybe we'll start getting into ugly Thule Troopers and and tote goats and start blowing those things out. You know, you mentioned those airbags. Christ, that could be fun.
Yeah.
This you need another project, huh?
Yeah.
You want no part of
No
that.
more. No.
Hey, who are some of the guys back in the day that you just don't see around anymore? You ever have any of those? Hey, whatever happened to that guy? Because I noticed there's a little bit of that when we do these podcasts. Any of those guys you haven't seen around in a while that you're wondering about?
Probably like Tom Props. He's kind of gone away a little bit.
Yeah.
And, I think Engine Tom, he's selling off a lot of bikes
Yeah,
now.
I saw that.
Yeah.
What's the deal with Engine Tom? Is he a big collector similar to everybody
He's
else?
into Pontiacs.
Yeah.
And he's got
Oh.
a shop up there in Merced.
Yes, Modesto.
Modesto, the automotive shop.
Yeah.
What-
And he had mini bikes, he had Pontiacs, running his shop.
Yeah. So he just wants to focus on the car business now, not so much the mini bikes.
Were the mini bikes some of the things that he was letting go, or
Yeah, I think he wants to sell everything off.
I think he's got some on eBay right now.
Yeah, I think he has.
really?
Yes,
Yeah.
got some tacos on
Yeah,
eBay
some
right now.
tacos on eBay right now.
Well, there's a little heads up then for
And
some
a
of you
chopper
guys.
fork. Bonanza chopper fork.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Frame,
Huh.
no engine plate.
Yeah, he's parting that one out,
And
I
a
think.
sissy bar for
Yeah.
a chopper.
Huh. Yeah, I'm pretty good with parts. I've always just wanted to get that next model. You know, I've had 2 or 3 of the CR400s. I'd like to get a 500.
500 with the jack shaft mounts.
Yeah,
And the
and the
different motor
100.
plate.
Yeah, you know, I think some of those ran with the jack shafts and the 5 horsepower, and then you got the big Kahuna, the 100cc.
Oh, Hodaka.
Yeah, that was the one. I would think I'd like to kind of go in that direction. I was telling these guys, I'm getting old, man. I can't pull start an engine. I got to have kickstarters all the time.
How's
about
your arms?
This one's still bad, Ed. You know,
Choppers ride like this.
yeah. Well, those choppers, they're like they're probably the worst built geometrically in terms of riding it and comfortability. It was like what I saddled Jake with that frame and with that fork, you know, and even those choppers, the way that they're set up, it's going to be a shitty ride. But they look so damn
They
cool.
look
They look
They're
cool,
So it's like
yeah.
it's like
They're
anything
cool.
else then. You know, it's like I used to get all these cars and slam them, and then I'd have to delicately cross every speed bump and intersection because you scrape the shit out of it. But after a while, it's like the things you got to do to look cool, right? Yeah, I'd like to take a moment as we kind of finish up the podcast here. And, you know, we've had some support from many of folks that, as you look around, that have helped us, not just with the podcast, but with the event. And I'd like to recognize just a few of those folks right now. CRC, particularly our folks over at Brake Clean, thank you for all the help. It's so cool what I do with those guys. I don't know if you remember, but everybody who came to the event, whether you were a participant or just walked in, think about it. Some Saturday morning, you walk into the show, you come in, see all these cool mini bikes, you leave with a $10 can of Brake Clean. Not bad for a gearhead, right? So they've always been there helping me out, and they're big supporters of Roadkill, and I appreciate that as well. Everybody loves Brake Clean, so the job's easy with them. I'd also like to recognize the folks over at Pioneer, Pioneer Car Audio. Emmanuel, I think I just may have shared with you their latest new bass speaker that we got to get our hands on.
I want one
Yeah.
in my Prius.
Oh, could you imagine? Fucking shake you right out of it. Those guys just get it, you know, not only with their complete product line, but just in terms of, you know, when I was rolling out roadkill opportunities, you know, you tell the story to a lot of people, but only a few of them really get it right at the beginning. They're like that. Pioneer is just, not only is their product really good, but they're just great supporters of all the things that are really worth their time, effort, and investment. So we thank you for that.
For a long time.
They have, you know. I remember Pioneer, and man, I don't know, there was that bad stretch, just like there was that bad stretch of cars in the 80s, but there was a bad stretch where we were using Kraco and Jensen.
Kraco,
right?
Yeah.
But shit, what do we know?
Kmart.
What do we know? What do we know, right? And yeah, the Pioneers, and there was a couple other folks that would pop up, but Pioneer was always like, man, I'd like to get a Pioneer. It's like, shit, I can't even afford a car payment, let alone having a car stereo. But thank you. Those guys have a lot of cool things, including one of the other projects. See, just so that you know, I'm an equal opportunity pain in the ass. So not only do I bug and bother you, but I've been doing that with Jake. So he's assembled Frankenstein, but he's also finishing up the project that we had with you, which is the Pioneer deal.
Well, that's good.
And that's got a cool fairing built.
Oh, cool.
In fact, you may like it. It's got a fairing. The seat has like the subwoofer in it. It's like a toilet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's a little much, but it's going to get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
We used an old Ruttman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had a Ruttman that had been redone, 2 of them actually, and we it didn't have many miles on it, and or hours I should say, and it's going to make a nice project. Hopefully we'll see that back too. So we've been doing that, and that's a Pioneer bike, and that'll be given away at an upcoming Roadkill Night event. I'd also like to thank the guys from Laid Back. Laid Back is Hondo has a company where it's not only cool T-shirts, but it's tins, like that cool Ford tin up there, that are just cool stuff for the garage. There's another one, the Laid Back Garage tin in the back there. So they make a bunch of old cool collectibles. I got one of their little cool cups. Auto guy. This guy's into cars, old motorcycles, and barbecue.
Oh, wow.
And his T-shirt and his T-shirt lines all seem to have that same style. Cool cars, cool barbecues, the South, laid back.
Cool.
And the guy just comes across that way. So he's been involved helping us out here too. So thank you to Hondo and everybody else who's been a part of this stupid thing so far to date. In addition to that, all my mini bike sponsors, the folks from Campbell Automotive, all of our local folks that are partners helping us put that event together, the folks from Steady Garage, the folks from Honda of Glendale. And if there's anybody else I missed, I apologize, but we'll be back doing this again a little bit later on. Ed, I don't know about you, but I'm going to, in addition to working on the mini bikes, I just finished up that trailer. So I'm going to take off on that trailer in August, but when we come back, we're going to talk with Tim from Iski, as I talked about. Sean's going to be back here. But maybe you can help me as we close out, because we only have a couple more episodes before the show, come October the 1st. Maybe you can help us find another guest that you think. And you guys, Bill, as well, if there's somebody that you think, or if anybody that's listening has somebody that they think they'd like to hear on the podcast, we probably have a slot or two maybe open, and then we would have done 12 episodes this year. And, we're hoping that, we can have some folks that maybe have a little bit of a different spin. But how about some shout-outs, Ed? And Bill, is you as well. I know we talked about your wife. We talked about your dad. Is there anybody else that in a day in a life is a cool person in your eyes you'd like to say hi to? All right, then.
I don't know. I think I named everybody on my list.
Yeah, good.
So
Shout out to all the homeboys in Michigan. All my Facebook buddies out there. My friend JD, he's moving to Texas.
I heard
sad about that.
Who mentioned something about JD getting a little bit out of the mini bike scene? Was that what they meant? He was moving?
Yeah, he's going to Texas.
It happens.
Yeah.
Who else, Eddie? Oh, there was a ton of guys were reaching out to you on the Facebook. Yeah, you got a bunch of guys that. What can you tell them? Anything new on your end? Health's good. I know.
Health's been pretty good. My knee's getting better. Back's getting better.
Good. Yeah, I want to recognize a couple folks that have helped me of late. Alan Jossi from SEMA. he handles all the guys who make truck parts, all the truck manufacturers going to specific haul, the truck haul. And he's helping me out with a couple things that could ultimately help not only a couple clients of mine, but also the mini bike world. So thanks to him. A couple friends, Ray Carparelli from Utica, New York. We've got a lot of good things happening. In fact, Marv from Utica, he decided he's going to come out and help us with the event this year as well. So if you haven't had a chance to meet the infamous Marv, he'll be there at the show this year, October the 1st. We're going to talk a little bit before we close the show about some business, and it includes the event. Ed, part of the problem I had with the dyno is that it was not really well promoted, so folks didn't really come prepared. And I really didn't know in terms of the numbers of dyno poles we're going to actually need to facilitate everybody. So the last thing I want to do is make anybody upset that came there with their heart set of getting that bike or their work all that time to get the engine built for the show to get on the dyno and be unable to get on there. So I'm working with my guy Lou, who's the dyno guy, and it's a one-man operation, and it's one roller. And it takes time for each pull and each bike to come off and on. So what I want to do is, it's not quite 90 days or less before the mini bike show comes around. And I don't hawk stuff. If you come to the event, you come. If you want to go to the website or if you want to look at it or like it, I don't care about that. We very rarely talk about that, I should say. But I do want to say that if you would like to come to the show and you'd like to be sure that you get on the dyno, is pre-register. Go to the site. It's joesminibikereunion.com, and there's a register icon. Just go there. And if you don't use a credit card, because you just don't want to use a credit card, just register and then email that to me, and I'll send you my address and you can send a check. So if you're a cash guy, we can do that too. But just pre-register so I can get you on the list, so that if it gets, it's a good problem to have, but it got to a point where we knew that we no longer could facilitate walk-ups, then at least you'd know. So that you didn't roll up to the show hoping to get on the dyno and be let down. So there's a little business. We're not charging any more money to come just because we have the dyno. This is not our style. Our style is just to come. So I'll ask those of you that are into mini bikes, all the fans of Evil Ed, and the folks that are into tacos, well, they can't be into tacos like you are, Bill, but the folks that have that passion for tacos, if you'd like to come out, be a part of it. It's October the 1st at beautiful Lacrosse Center here at CV Park.
A lot of nice bikes show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always, I'm my own worst critic, and I just envision that one day to be full, and that little hill to be full, and that parking lot to be full. And, we're not there yet. It takes time. It's been 5 years, but it's still a new deal. You know how it is in Southern California.
It takes time.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
I go to that two-stroke extravaganza, which is an epic event. It tracks like Jay Leno, and not just two-stroke motorcycles, two-stroke anything. I love that show. And even that one, it's tough to just pack them in.
They need to get Jay Leno a mini bike.
I don't know if Jay Leno's anxious to get on a mini bike after what had happened with that car.
He might flip the mini bike.
Did you see that?
Oh, that's sad.
He flipped that Hemi under glass.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't flip it.
Well, that was and that was even what made it tougher.
Yeah.
And then I just fast forwarded that God forbid if there was a fatality. That would have been such a nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
And that poor guy felt so bad afterwards, you could just tell.
I heard that wasn't the real car. That was a duplicate that they were in, the real ones.
Yeah, well, good for that. Yeah, hopefully
that's good.
But that was a close call.
Yeah,
and we talked about that too. These mini bikes are known to do worse than that. People look at them; they're so cool and so small. They get on them, they get their ass handed to them. Right, Bill? Thanks for coming on the show.
All right, great.
Not that bad, huh? How do you feel now? Feel a little bit better?
Yeah, I'm feeling better now. Thank you.
Good. Before we go, give these guys a little bit of, even if we come up with a couple, 2 or 3 of them, that there's a lot of sites out there.
Yes.
And there's a lot of quote-unquote sources or contacts that folks will look to get when they're trying to put back together their taco, or maybe find that part, or find out an answer to a question about an appropriate part. I just brought out 25 pages of pages of information. So I know there's got to be millions of places to go. Can you tell any of these taco lovers that may be listening to the podcast any bits of information or any tips or tricks or any suggestions about where you think the most helpful sources for taco information are?
Man, it's kind of hard. You got to go everywhere. You got to go through eBay, your local newspaper, internet.
Max Mini Yard
Max,
sale.
yeah, Max Minibike swap meet that he has in January, or maybe even email me. You can go, I think, on Facebook, Taco Bill's Minibike Garage, and send me something. Maybe I can help you out or direct you the right way.
You know, I would think that because of the fact that it's such a generic description of a mini bike taco,
Yes.
that there's got to be a lot of folks that are not only looking to buy, but folks that are advertising parts as taco parts or buying parts as taco parts that really aren't.
Yes.
So that's what I'm getting at. If there's anything that if there's a site, or if you're going to make yourself available intermittently, that'd be cool. But if there's more legitimate sites out there, or sites that you think are a little bit more reputable, so that they know that they're getting the right parts.
Probably go maybe Taco Don's with the steensminibikes.com. He has a lot of information on there.
Great.
Yeah,
Donnie.
that's a good site.
Yeah, that's a good site there.
How about any things that you can tell folks that are dead giveaways, either when it's looking at a frame, or you say a lot of these taco covers.
Some of those zebras look like tacos.
Yeah. It's take a picture of it and maybe email it to me. Maybe I can help you out that way.
I've seen a lot of people call a zebra a taco. They look similar.
They're
but
similar, yeah.
You can once you start knowing the little things about them, you can tell if it's a zebra or a taco.
And every taco has a serial number?
Not everyone. Some of
Really?
them don't.
Some of them don't.
Yeah, those are the ones that you can buy as just a frame from Steens,
Okay.
and then you just put your own stuff on it. So those came unnumbered. That's why some guys will have a bike with no numbers on it, and that's why you buy it as a kit. So then on the 22s, you can tell by the back loop that comes up if how they're pinched, and they'll tell you what year it is.
Oh, okay. Well, look, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for spending some time in the garage. Thanks for giving us a little bit of history lesson on the tacos.
I hope it helped out.
Yeah, let's face it. That bike is, again, probably one of the more iconic brands that folks talk about when they talk about mini bikes. And it was nice to get it right from the expert himself, you. William Perea, Taco Bill, thanks for joining us on Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast. Evil One, what's left with you the rest of the week? Got a busy week ahead of you?
Oh, I just got to finish up one more tank. I fired up my drag bike last week.
How'd that sound? What's engine you have in
I
that?
had problems. I had a Blue Wazoom, Uncle Frank's Blue Wazoom. Fired it up, and the fuel pump pulse sucking from the manifold to the fuel pump was sucking gas right directly into the manifold, so it was running real rich. Shut it off, drained it out, ordered a new fuel pump. I got them today. Ate the sealer in my gas tank, so I gotta get a different tank.
I put
Nitromethane mixed with alcohol.
Shit.
That stuff's some killer stuff.
I'm going to go online to Craigslist, see if I can find an air conditioner for the truck. What year is it?
Oh, mine's 99 Chevy Silverado.
Yeah, we don't want you heating up on us. It's going to be hot these next coming months. We do have a little bit of information. We may be filming the upcoming August editions of Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast at an air-conditioned, badass reception area of one of the leading wheel manufacturers in our aftermarket industry, located here in Southern California. So it's just going to be too hot, and we could probably use a little break, especially if we shoot that episode where we have a little conference of folks. I wouldn't want to bring them in a hot, sweaty garage in August. And then I'd also like to, I was talking about taking off on my trailer. That's my little plan, is to get that little trailer going. Emmanuel, you recently took off, what was it, for 2 days on your little excursion? Yep. You got a little...
I saw a picture of him laying on the beach somewhere.
That was yesterday.
Yeah, he went to the beach. Well, he left to go to the beach at 1 o'clock.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, he was chilling out. Like a couple hours later, he was on the beach.
Huh.
Yeah, he's living the life. You kidding me? No, but you had a fun time on the couple days you took off, and you had a good trailer experience with the folks at Happy Campers, didn't you?
Happier Campers,
Happier
yeah.
Campers.
You can rent out vintage trailers, like the old Bowlers and Trilliums.
Really?
Yeah, and so I'm having a meeting with them tomorrow, see what else I can do with them, videos or whatnot, just to help promote the business. And they have their new Happier Camper HC1. You've probably seen it on Facebook. the one where you can change things on the inside, so you can go from a regular camper to a toy hauler.
Yeah,
Wow.
put a bed in, take a bed out,
Wow.
Yeah,
And now they're asking about mini bikes. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
you can put like
Right.
you can put like 3 or 4 of them inside one of those. So
Alright.
they're definitely gonna be. It's gonna be a good meeting, and they're great people.
I walked outside, and like I got this little cool trailer here. In my mind, I'm like Mr. Trailer now. You can't be showing up on my block with no trailer, right? So I walk out there, I see another cool vintage trailer. I get all puffed up, looking around. It's like, oh, it's in front of Emmanuel. It's like,
Like when you were little, you couldn't.
yeah, it's like,
I was
wait,
here
wait,
first.
wait.
I
You
was
wanted to
here
enjoy the
first.
taco farm.
I didn't get any request to
Yeah,
have a
man.
trailer on my block, so I go out there and it's him, and his kids are in there having a good time. And that's the thing about it. Again, they were older looking. It wasn't like you were in that. People see you driving around in the Cruise America motorhomes. You can always. It's like, nah. It's back in that vintage time. They look so cool. Yeah, I'm into the trailers. We bopped around from cars to mini bikes to motorcycles, but the trailers. I don't know if you ever got into them. I've got that bug now. So we'll use that for registration at the event. Yeah, Happier Campers. That seemed like a pretty cool thing, and they're rentals, right?
Yeah, $125 a night.
Love that, right?
Not bad. That's good.
There's even places now where you don't do anything.
They do that too if you want them to.
Yeah. Oh,
they'll
cool.
they'll do the delivery setup, and you're
So you
good to
call
go.
them up.
Oh, wow.
You say, look, I'm going to be at Thornhill Brom on the 18th of August through the 20th. And not only do they deliver it, they set it up, they level it, they fire up the generator, they plug it in, they plug in the dark water deal, and they'll leave the key somewhere. Usually like on the top of the tire or inside where they have the propane. And you just get that key, open the door, and then when you're done,
You're set.
when you're
You
done,
just leave the key
you
back
turn it
on
off,
there.
and you leave the key back in there. They come and pick it up. So you drive there without having to tow it. You use it. You're done using it. I can go home.
Wow.
And you're right on the beach.
I had, not only have I used SoCal Airstream, which is just another one of these companies. I like what Happier Camper was doing it because the Airstream I felt like it's a bit pretentious because they're so expensive and gaudy. But I got the small one, so I didn't feel that bad. But the Happier Campers are like you got to cruise in somebody's vintage muscle car.
With a Prius.
Yeah, you go with the Prius.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're like, are they fiberglass?
Yeah,
Someone-
900 pounds.
Yeah, so-
yeah,
Oh, that's not
that's
bad.
easy.
And here's the thing: as I've gotten into the trailers, I'm on the sites. I'm buying the picture books. I've got one vintage camper book. It's like a pictorial. It's all color photos, and every one of them to a T either have a cool old custom car or truck pulling them, or it's not just parking the trailer. They set out a themed carpet with a themed canopy and themed props, and all of them have either a Cushman or a Honda. None of them have a domestic hardcore Bonanza taco mini bike. So ours, the one that we're doing, it's I use like the seats that are similar to the Ducati. It's black and white. We're trying to keep it somewhat automotive looking, but I'm going to try to give that cues of an automotive trailer in the hopes to one day, like Ed, what we've done, we've built mini bikes for companies. I like to build a trailer for an automotive company so that it's almost like a portable, not only carrier, but also a work area with drop down benches and maybe a little lift. You know how cool that could be, like just a working.
Oh, okay.
But that's for another show, another episode. Thanks for joining us, Ed. Thanks for the good times, and thanks for hooking us up with Taco Bill.
All right.
No problem.
Pleasure.
Guys,
Thank you.
this show's Minibike Reunion podcast number 8 in the can, and we will be back with Tim as well as Charles Mini Drag Bike. Yes, that's right, Charles Mini Drag Bike. Mosley in the house is a guest host sitting alongside Evil Ed. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Joe's Minibike Show.